Hey there, guitar enthusiasts of every stripe and description. It's I, Steve, the OG Rickaholic and all-around guitar nut. As always, we're all pro here, so expect nothing less. It's been an interesting week. I've gotten more response to my Gibson unboxing and review video than I have to anything else that I've ever done since becoming Guitar Nuts Anonymous. Some of it positive, a fair bit of it negative, which is interesting, but I mean, I guess that's when you know you've made it, right? So we'll talk a bit about that. As usual, I want to go over a little bit of news, and we'll talk about some of this week's messages before we get into the big clickbaity subject of this video, the $50 challenge. But first off, news. The big news this week in guitars, certainly on the YouTubes, is the Rick Beatto Signature Gibson Les Paul Special. Those of you that don't know, Rick Beatto is well, for one thing, he's a great guitar player, but he's also a well-known music producer and educator. He's done a bit of everything, I think. He's produced some pretty famous bands and has out his own theory and guitar playing courses. The theory is especially good. You know what? I might go ahead and put a link to his courses in the down below here. He's in no way, endorsing me to do so or anything, but I personally paid for his theory course. I think it's totally worthwhile, especially for me, because I'm what you might call a totally uneducated musician. I never took any lessons. Did take 2 years of music theory in high school, which basically allowed me to know what the 1, 3, and 5 and a chord is, and not a hell of a lot else, to be honest with you. But somehow I passed, which might just be an indictment of the American educational system. I don't know. But anyhow, Rick went together with Gibson and brought out this, what he said was his dream Les Paul. It's a special model, which is to say flat top, double cutaway, P90 pickups. It's a bit lighter than the standard special model. Comes in kind of a satin Pelham blue type finish, and came out with a kind of shocking price tag of $19.99. Something approaching double what I think most people expected, since the standard Les Paul special, which is not a heck of a lot different, is roughly half the price, or it might be up to $12.99 now, but whatever the case, of course I didn't do my homework, it's me. Whatever the case, $2,000 was a little over the top for most people's tastes, except for resellers who promptly bought up every example that was available and are now trying to flip them on Reverb for between $3,000 and $4,000. Hey, it's a free market economy. I guess if that's your bag, go for it. But I can't imagine anybody paying that kind of money for the fact that it's blue and it has Rick Beatto's name on it. But what do I know? I also didn't buy up all those Jaguars and Jazzmasters back in 1990 that I could have had for $100 a piece, partially because $100 for me in 1990 was a lot of money, and partially because I had no idea what the future would hold, or that I would wind up falling in love with Jaguars and it being one of my favorite guitars. So I had no idea then. But you live and you learn, right? Hopefully you don't just stay in one place and spin your wheels. So onward to messages, okay? Between email, Facebook messages, and comments on the channel. We got a lot in the last week. I guess I'll just jump right in with some positive ones right off the bat. Heathen Warrior got a hold of the several different messages and brought up the Digitech Mosaic pedal. It's supposed to make a guitar sound like a 12-string. I used to be in a band. My friend Tom used to use one, and it does the job not terribly convincingly, but I mean, in a full mix situation with a band, I mean, it does the job. As Heathen Warrior mentioned, if you crank all the knobs all the way up, you kind of get an organ sound, kind of similar to an Electro-Harmonix Pog or something, especially if you distort it. But the only problem I ever had with the Mosaic pedal is all it's doing is adding an octave up, which, as you well know, if you play or have seen a 12-string guitar, only the E, A, D, and G actually have an octave pairing. The B and high E are just doubled. So immediately you have an artificial sound when you have an octave up on those two strings coming from the pedal. And like I said, it can do the job in a pinch, or if you're looking for a specific effect. If you don't think of it as a substitute for a 12-string and just think of it as an effect pedal, it might be a better way to get a lot out of it. It's hard to say. Food and Travel with Danny the Medic said he'd love to see what Ming has to offer. You know what? You're not alone. So far, we are up to 14 viewers who asked me for Ming's information because they're interested in ordering ostensibly a Gibson, but I've seen Ming makes all the other brands as well, including Rickenbackers. Chickenbackers. I'd kind of be interested sometime in the future in ordering a Chickenbacker from Ming. Now, granted, I'm still a bit tender from being burned on the last Chickenbacker, but I'm so happy with my Gibson Les Paul that, especially if I had a bit of financial contribution from the group, since it's going to benefit a lot of people to find out where we actually can get a quality Chickenbacker, since a lot of people seem to want one. I mean, we're up to almost 300, the magic 300 subscribers now, as well as, 10 times that many viewers, apparently. If we pulled together, I could order several Chickenbackers from several different builders, and we could find out if somebody out there actually does make one worth owning. Who knows? If anybody wants to contribute, go to PayPal and use the email address, rickenbackeranonymous@gmail.com, which is also a good way to contact me directly, which several people have done. Thank you for that. What else? Food and Travel with Danny the Medic also said, great personality. I don't know if he means me, or he meant the guitar, or Ming. I don't know. But in any case, thank you. Let's see. Bal, who is a big supporter of the show, got a hold and said, thanks for the demo. Now, this is in reference to the compressor pedal episode that I just did with the Jangle box and the Behringers. Thanks for the demo. The pedals sound good to my ears, although I've been accused many times of having Van Gogh ear for music. I've been accused of a few things myself. He said, anyway, I might have been a first as the man who started a run on Behringer pedals. Truly remarkable. That would be remarkable, wouldn't it? And it's actually possible, given the fact that it's a discontinued unit, the DC9 compressor, and the newer plastic Behringer compressors, definitely not the same circuit. I've got one, and it's not the same at all. So who knows? It could be interesting. Bal also pointed out the fact that it's amazing that I can play both left and right-handed. Let me explain that. My new phone apparently doesn't correct for left to right justification. I'm sure there's a setting on there, but I couldn't find it. After the fact, when I realized that everything made me look left-handed, everything was flipped over on the last video, I tried to find the settings so that I could fix it for this one. Couldn't find anything, even when I Googled it. So I'm back to my old phone for recording this. Glad I saved the old phone. It's useful for web surfing at home and apparently useful for the camera. It also seems to have a little bit better camera, to be honest, a little clearer. So, hey, there's that. Bal also asked, do I think that both compressors in a dual compressor setup need to be identical? Definitely not. I think there's probably some really great effects to be had by using two different pedals, different compressors, and seeing what you can get out of them. It could be quite interesting. It's hard to say. But by all means, give it a shot. You have nothing to lose, and you may already have a pair of compressors around. You could surprise yourself and already have exactly what you need right there in your toolbox of sorts. Peter J. Radomski mentioned on the subject of amps. he really likes the sound of a Rickenbacker through an orange amplifier. He says it's an underappreciated combo that's well worth investigating. I've never owned an orange. Well, that's not entirely true. I own one of the Micro Terrors, the little tiny. I don't think that's really indicative of the orange sound. Also, a little food for thought. If you ever happen to get one of those, I can show it to you. If you get one of these little bad boys, and there's sticker residue on it, don't try using adhesive remover to take off the adhesive residue, because as you can see, it actually takes off all of the screen printing as well, leaving you with a blank surface. It's kind of cool looking. Looks like it'd be on the JHS pedal show, since he's into white amplifiers, but just a little fun fact there. What else? Let's see. Oh, back to orange amps. I'd be very interested in trying a tube orange amp. He specified when I asked, we're talking about tubes, the tube versions. I've always had a fascination with orange amps, going back to when I was a kid. Back then when, MTV showed videos, they had a show called Closet Classics where they'd show old TV appearances and things. And I remember seeing Black Sabbath on that show, performing on an old British TV show called Beat Club, and they had stacks of orange amps, and I just thought it just looked just awesome. And of course it sounded great, assuming they weren't, miming, who knows, but regardless, I'd definitely like to try out an orange amp. If I ever come across one, get a deal, or someone loans me one, or, forbid, at some point in time I get to be a big enough channel that Orange wants to send me one, yeah, I'd be very curious to hear. I'm definitely not married to the standard Rickenbacker through a Vox sound. As I had mentioned before, using the Iridium pedal, which has Fender, Vox, and Marshall tones, I actually prefer the sound of my Rickenbackers, including the 12-string, through the Marshall model more than anything else. It speaks to me. I really enjoy it. Let's see. Peter Radomski also mentioned there aren't enough guitar pedal videos that are honest about brands that lack status appeal. That's true. It's not very sexy to talk about Behringer unless you're slamming them and talking about how they're total ripoffs. Not that they aren't. They've never had an original idea that I'm aware of, but that doesn't mean that what they do produce doesn't have a value. Actually, a pretty great value in some cases. Nancy McConkey said, love the review. Speaking again about the Gibson. I'd love to reach out to Ming for the purpose of ordering a guitar from him. I made sure that the McConkeys got that information. Let's see what else here. Sticking to the positive mentions first, because I'm saving a special spot for the negative. Friend of the show, Tracy Blair, said he's played one of those Schecters. I showed that Schecter that I got a couple episodes back, the old in out. It's a very impressive instrument. It is. It totally doesn't suit me. It's a shredder instrument, and it's way above my play grade. That might be a new term. It's for somebody that can just tear it up, and I can't. I'm more slow hand, or slow in the slow children, driver beware kind of sense when it comes to playing. But boy, it feels good. It's man, and for not a heck of a lot of money. Those Schecters. Or, of course, Tracy might also have been referring to the Schecter that I'm keeping, the green one. Who knows? That's also an awesome instrument. The TSH, I want to say. It's around here someplace. Actually, I think it's right there. But I'm too lazy to move. Plus, you don't need to see my backside anymore. And hi, Tracy. I understand his Tom Petty 12-string knockoff is coming along nicely. He's put a lot into it, and I'm looking forward to giving a little review of that when he's finished. Let's see what else here. A couple of people have joined the Gibson Friends on Facebook group. That's where my friend Jeff hangs out. He's the guy that turned me on to Ming. Great guy. Let's see. Definitely need to change the wraparound bridge on that Gibson because it looks like cheap shite. Well, guess what? I actually did. It's already done. I've got a lovely Wilkinson Tune-O-Matic style on here now. that really does the job. It's great. And I did get some new knobs. They just came in the mail today, but I haven't put them on yet. So yeah, agreed. It looked cheap before. Looks much better now, and more importantly, it sounds and plays better in tune now. Narx Occipe. Boy, I hope I got that right. Narroxcpe. That's a tough one. So, dude, I signed on to your channel because you were a master Rickenbacker junkie. Good enough. I own 6 overpriced real Rickenbackers and was fooled that you were going to provide a source to a Chinese builder that would build me a custom Rickenbacker imitation. Man, dig yourself. There are 50 or 60 people doing copy Gibson and Fenders on YouTube. Stop it and get back to Rickenbackers only and make a brand for yourself. Well, I can't go back to Rickenbackers only, but I feel you. The only reason I did the Gibson things because people had asked me, and I don't regret it at all because the video's done well. And honestly, I love the instrument. I play that Les Paul a lot. I'm really into it, and that's interesting because I never saw myself as a Les Paul guy, which is, I never owned one. But yeah, as I mentioned a little earlier, I would very much like to be able to buy a few more Chickenbackers from several different builders. Save you guys the hassle and heartache of finding out that what you ordered is crap. Maybe find a great builder who can do it. It could be Ming. I mean, if this Gibson copy is any indication of what he can do, I've got to think his Chickenbackers could be great too. I don't know. Again, it's going to take some financial support though, because I'm pretty much running on empty now. I've hit the slow season of my job, and shy of shifting some stuff, which I'm doing anyway. But I'm not really looking to sell my own stuff to fund more potentially disastrous purchases, as much as I'd like to for the sake of the show. I'm actually selling some things to fund a new crazy outside the box idea I have for my new originals band that I'm forming. It's going to require putting I'll share it with you eventually, but it's very outside the box. I'm going to go for if you can believe it or not, an original sound in a rock band. So I'll keep you informed on that. Now, itchy nose. Trying to decide here. I'm already up to nearly 18 minutes. Do I continue with the $50 guitar challenge, or do I stop here in a moment after we've gone over the negative messages and come back and do the $50 challenge and actually show it to you in a separate video in a few days? I think I might do that because I'm finding that the less than half-hour videos seem to do better. Short attention spans, I understand, got one too. But maybe I'll do that, and I'll just call this the $50 guitar challenge teaser, and the other one the $50 guitar challenge. I didn't expect to, yammer on this long, but in any case, as I mentioned, we also got some negative comments, largely about the Gibson thing. And what I've decided to do, originally I was going to call people out for their crass and crappy comments, and maybe, come up with some kind of an interesting award for them, for their efforts. But instead I've decided to take the high road. What I'm going to do is this. If you make a positive or neutral comment, I'm going to read it and I'm going to name you. If you put out a negative comment, it's going to be anonymous. I'm not going to call you out on it. I'm taking the moral high road. But I am going to share them because I think people need to hear these things. So someone got on and said, in reference again to, I'd mentioned that I tried a real Gibson around February that I wanted to buy myself for my 50th birthday. I've since figured out that it was the Tribute Plus mahogany top model. It was an all mahogany Les Paul that has push-pull coil splits and whatnot, and I think a phase reverse. I don't remember. But I tried 3 of them, one at each of the guitar centers locally, and they all played like crap. But he said, the Gibson I tried in the shop must have been fake. Keep in mind, these were guitar centers, and Gibson is here in Nashville. Must have been fake because real ones have binding covering the frets so they couldn't be sharp. I also find it highly unlikely the action was high because after all, the real ones are set up with a pluck machine. Okay, let's dissect that. In the first place, Guitar Center gets real Gibsons, and they get them from Gibson right down the freaking road. So they can't even blame things like sharp fret ends on environmental conditions, because there hasn't been time for them to develop fret sprout. They're coming straight from Gibson, going down the road to Guitar Center. They don't have far to travel. And yes, most Gibsons, although not all, have fret binding. It's called nibs. That doesn't preclude the possibility of sharp fret ends. In fact, I was back at the main Guitar Center in Nashville just 3 days ago to pick up a couple of accessories. And the guitar was still there since February. Same one, I can tell, because it has kind of a distinctive pattern to the mahogany grain. And I'm in there fairly regularly, and it hasn't moved. Fret ends still feel sharp right through the nibs, including the part of the where it joins the nib. And take my word for it, or don't. Drag your ass down here and go to Guitar Center and try it yourself. As far as the action being high, impossible because of a pluck machine setup, all the pluck does is level the frets. It makes sure that the frets have an even level and that they are quote-unquote perfect, although they do nothing about sharp fret ends or fret sprout. It has nothing to do with action. Action is about the relief of the neck to some degree, and more than anything about the height, the bridge, which when I played it, the bridge was cranked way the hell up. And usually the only reason someone cranks the bridge way the hell up is to hide the fact that something else isn't right. Like too much bow in the neck, or maybe in a rare case where the pluck missed something and there's a high fret. I'm not accusing Guitar Center of anything apart from lousy customer service, which I think most of us can attest to. But no, they were not fake. They were quite real, and that is what it is. I'm only going to share a couple of negative replies here, because most were just a little off the cuff thing. If these two in particular got my attention, so it was that one. And then this other one, just pretty simple, that just said, if it's not a Gibson or an Epiphone, it's garbage. Well, let me say this. If that be true, anyone out there that has any garbage like this, I would love to unburden you from having to live with the shame of owning such trash. And if you just reach out to me at rickenbackeranonymous@gmail.com, I'll be happy to send you my mailing address. I'll even pay for the shipping, and I'll be happy to take all that garbage off your hands. It'd be my pleasure. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. So yeah, we're at 23 minutes. I'm going to sign off, and I'll go ahead and do the $50 guitar challenge thing tomorrow, which actually works out better for me anyway, because I'm kind of racing the clock with getting ready for work here. But I wanted to give you something because I said I'd try to get something out in a week, and here it is. So if you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell an enemy, go tell it on the mountain. You've heard it all before. Leave a comment. Tell me what you want to see, what you don't want to see. Let me know you think I look like proverbial shite with a headband on. Notice I don't have one this time. Whatever you, and I did get a comment about that last month. Let me know. Until next time, chime on, rock out, be good to yourself, be good to others, be good to small animals, be good to big animals. Just be good, you know? And if you can't be good at it. I'll see you very soon and tell you about this $50 challenge. Fair enough? All right. I am.